HMS Majestic was a Majestic-class pre-dreadnought battleship of the Royal Navy, commissioned in 1895. She was the largest pre-dreadnought launched at the time. She served with the Channel Fleet until 1904, following which she was assigned to the Atlantic Fleet. In 1907, she was part of the Home Fleet, firstly assigned to the Nore Division and then with the Devonport Division. From 1912, she was part of the 7th Battle Squadron. When World War I broke out, Majestic, together with the rest of the squadron, was attached to the Channel Fleet during the early stages of the war before being detached for escort duties with Canadian troop convoys. She then had spells as a guard ship at the Nore and the Humber. In early 1915, she was dispatched to the Mediterranean for service in the Dardanelles campaign. She participated in bombardments of Turkish forts and supported the Allied landings at Gallipoli. On the 27th of May 1915, she was torpedoed by a U-boat at Cape Helles, sinking with the loss of 49 men. Design: Majestic was laid down at the Portsmouth dockyard in February 1894. She was launched on the 31st of January 1895, after which fitting-out work commenced. She was commissioned into the Royal Navy less than a year later, in December 1895. The ship was 421 feet long overall and had a beam of 75 feet and a draft of 27 feet. She displaced up to 16,060 t at full combat load. Her propulsion system consisted of two 3-cylinder triple expansion engines powered by 8 coal-fired cylindrical boilers. By 1907-1908, she was reboilered with oil-fired models. Her engines provided a top speed of 16 knots at 10,000 indicated horsepower. The Majestics were considered good sea boats with an easy roll and good steamers, although they suffered from high fuel consumption. She had a crew of 672 officers and enlisted men. The ship was armed with 4 BL 12-inch Mk8 guns in twin turrets, one forward and one aft. The turrets were placed on pear-shaped barbets. 6 of her sisters had the same arrangement, but her sisters Caesar and Illustrious and all future British battleship classes had circular barbets. Majestic also carried 12 QF 6-inch 40 guns. They were mounted in casemates in 2 gun decks amidships. She also carried 16 QF 12-pounder guns and 12 QF 2-pounder guns. She was also equipped with 5 18-inch torpedo tubes, 4 of which were submerged in the ship's hull, with the last in a deck-mounted launcher. Majestic and the other ships of her class had 9 inches of Harvey armor, which allowed equal protection with less cost in weight compared to previous types of armor. This allowed Majestic and her sisters to have a deeper and lighter belt than previous battleships without any loss in protection. The barbets for the main battery were protected with 14 in of armor, and the conning tower had the same thickness of steel on the sides. The ship's armored deck was 2.5 to 4.5 in thick. Operational history: HMS Majestic commissioned into the Channel Squadron on the 12th of December 1895, and served at the Portsmouth Division. She was present at the Fleet Review at Spithead for the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria on the 26th of June 1897, and was later flagship to Vice Admiral Sir Harry Rawson, Commander-in-Chief of the Channel Fleet. Captain George Edgerton was appointed in command on the 28th of June 1899, and paid off in April 1901. When Captain Edward Eden Bradford was appointed in command as she became the flagship of Rear Admiral Arthur Wilson, who had been appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Channel Squadron. She was present at the Coronation Review for King Edward VII on the 16th of August 1902. She underwent a refit at Portsmouth from February to July 1904, and then became a unit of the Atlantic Fleet when a reorganization resulted in the Channel Fleet becoming the Atlantic Fleet in January 1905. On 1 October 1906, she paid off into reserve at Portsmouth. Majestic recommissioned at Portsmouth on 26 February 1907 to become flagship of the Nore Division in the new home fleet stationed at the Nore. She began a refit later that year in which she received radio and new fire control systems. When the flag was transferred to another ship in January 1908, she became a private ship in the Nore Division. In June 1908, Majestic transferred to the Devonport Division of the Home Fleet, stationed at Devonport. Her refit was completed in 1909, and in March 1909 she transferred to the 3rd Division at Devonport. Then in August 1910 to the 4th Division at Devonport, where she underwent another refit in 1911. In May 1912, Majestic became part of the 7th Battle Squadron in the 3rd Fleet at Devonport. On 14 July 1912 she collided with her sister ship Victorious during maneuvers, suffering no serious damage. World War I. Upon the outbreak of World War I in August 1914, Majestic and the rest of the 7th Battle Squadron were assigned to the Channel Fleet. Majestic underwent a refit in August and September 1914, then covered the passage of the British Expeditionary Force to France in September 1914. She was detached from the 7th Battle Squadron from 3 October 1914 to 14 October 1914 to escort the 1st Canadian Troop Convoy. At the end of October 1914, Majestic was transferred to the Nore to serve as guardship there. On 3 November 1914, she transferred to the Humber to serve as guardship there. In December 1914 she became a unit of the Dover Patrol, and combined with battleship Revenge to bombard German coastal artillery from off of Nieuwpoort, Belgique on 15 December 1914. In January 1915, she was based at Portland. Dardanelles campaign. In February 1915, Majestic was assigned to participate in the upcoming Dardanelles campaign to open the Turkish Straits, and she departed early that month under the command of Captain H.F.G. Talbot to join the Mediterranean Fleet. Upon arriving in Malta, she was fitted with what was termed mine-catching gear so that she could serve as a mine bumper. She joined the Dardanelles force on 24 February 1915, and on 26 February 1915 departed Tenedos to bombard the Ottoman Turkish inner forts at the Dardanelles that morning. On 26 February 1915, Majestic and battleships Albion and Triumph became the first Allied heavy ships to enter the Turkish Straits during the campaign, firing on the inner forts from 0914 until 1740 hours. Majestic took a hit below the waterline, but was able to continue operations and patrolled the area again on 27 February 1915. She supported the early landings, shelling the forts from 11:25 until 1645 hours on 1 March 1915 and again while patrolling on 3 March 1915. She arrived at Mudros on 8 March 1915. On 9 March 1915, Majestic circumnavigated the entrance to the Dardanelles and bombarded Ottoman Turkish positions from 1007 until 1215 hours. She returned to Tenedos on 10 March 1915, patrolled off the Dardanelles again on 15 March 1915, and again returned to Tenedos on 16 March 1915. Majestic participated in the final attempt to force the Straits by naval power alone on the 18th of March, 1915. She opened fire on Fort 9 at 1,420 hours and also engaged Turkish field guns hidden in woods. She shelled Fort 9 until she ceased fire at 1835. The fort meanwhile fired on the mortally damaged battleship Ocean. Majestic was hit 4 times, twice in her lower tops and twice on her forecastle, and returned to Tenedos at 2,200 hours with 1 dead and some wounded crew members. Majestic returned to patrol duties on the 22nd of March 1915. She shelled Turkish positions on the 28th of March 1915 from 0950 to 10:15 and from 12:50 to 1,340 hours, and again opened fire on the 14th of April at 1,458 hours. On the 18th of April, she fired on the abandoned British submarine E-15 aground near Fort Dardanelles and in danger of being captured 2 picket boats, one from Majestic and one from Triumph, destroyed E-15 with torpedoes, although the boat from Majestic was itself sunk by Turkish shore batteries while retiring. Majestic returned to Tenedos on the 21st of April 1915. On the 25th of April 1915, Majestic was back in action, signaling London that Allied landings had begun at Gallipoli and supporting them with coastal bombardments until 1,915 hours. She brought 99 wounded troops aboard at 2,110 hours and recovered all her boats before anchoring off Gallipoli for the night. On the 26th of April 1915, she was back in action early, opening fire at 0617 hours. On the 27th of April 1915, she exchanged fire with Turkish guns, with several Turkish shells achieving very near misses before both sides ceased firing at 1,130 hours. On the 29th of April 1915, she again was anchored off Gallipoli. Majestic relieved Triumph as flagship of Admiral Nicholson, commanding the squadrons supporting the troops ashore off Cape Helles on the 25th of May 1915. Loss. On the 27th of May 1915, while stationed off W Beach at Cape Helles, Majestic became the 3rd battleship to be torpedoed off the Gallipoli Peninsula in 2 weeks, around 0645 hours. Commander Otto Hersing of the German submarine U-21 fired a single torpedo through the defensive screen of destroyers and anti-torpedo nets, striking Majestic and causing a huge explosion. The ship began to list to port and in 9 minutes had capsized in 54 feet of water, killing 49 men. Her masts hit the mud of the sea bottom, and her upturned hull remained visible for many months until it was finally submerged when her foremast collapsed during a storm.